Burkina Faso, a landlocked nation in West Africa, has been grappling with political instability and a growing jihadist insurgency for years. In this tumultuous context, a young military officer named Ibrahim Traoré emerged as a central figure. In 2022, Traoré, then a relatively unknown captain, seized control of the country in a military coup. This audacious move thrust him into the international spotlight and made him one of the world's youngest heads of state. Traoré justified the coup by criticizing the previous government's inability to curb the escalating violence and instability plaguing the nation. His rise to power was met with mixed reactions. Some saw him as a necessary force for change, a leader who could address the security crisis and restore order. Others, however, viewed the coup as a setback for democracy and feared a return to authoritarian rule. Traoré's background, largely shrouded in mystery before the coup, did little to quell these concerns. Traoré's early life and military career remain largely undisclosed. What is known is that he rose through the ranks of the Burkinabe army, gaining experience in combat operations against jihadist groups. This experience, coupled with his perceived decisiveness, likely contributed to his ability to garner support within the military and orchestrate the coup. His swift rise to power, his youth, and his relative anonymity prior to the coup make Ibrahim Traoré a figure of immense interest and speculation. His leadership, however, will be defined by his actions and their consequences for the people of Burkina Faso. The world is watching to see if he can deliver on his promises of stability and security, or if his rule will mark another dark chapter in the nation's turbulent history. Ibrahim Traoré's leadership is characterized by a strong anti-imperialist and pan-Africanist stance. He has been vocal in his criticism of Western influence in Africa, particularly that of former colonial power France. Traoré sees this influence as a form of neo-colonialism, perpetuating dependency and hindering African nations from achieving true sovereignty. He has called for a complete break from these colonial legacies and advocates for greater self-reliance and cooperation among African nations. Traoré's pan-Africanist vision extends beyond rhetoric. He has sought to strengthen ties with other African countries, particularly those governed by military juntas. His attendance at the Russia-Africa Summit in 2023 signaled a shift in Burkina Faso's foreign policy, moving away from traditional Western allies and towards new partnerships. This shift is most evident in Burkina Faso's growing relationship with Russia. Traoré views Russia as a counterbalance to Western influence and a potential source of military and economic support. His government has welcomed Russian military trainers and advisors, and there are reports of increased arms deals between the two countries. This alignment with Russia has further strained Burkina Faso's relationship with France and its Western allies. France, in particular, has condemned Traoré's coup and his subsequent policies, leading to a deterioration of diplomatic relations. This growing rift between Burkina Faso and the West has significant implications for the security and stability of the Sahel region. Central to Ibrahim Traoré's rule is his approach to combating the jihadist insurgency that has plagued Burkina Faso for years. His strategy has centered on bolstering the country's military capabilities. This includes increased recruitment, particularly of young men eager to fight against the insurgents, and a greater reliance on civilian defense forces, known as Volunteers for the Defense of the Homeland, VDPs. While intended to strengthen the fight against terrorism, the use of VDPs has been highly controversial. These groups, often comprised of civilians with limited training and oversight, have been implicated in widespread human rights abuses, including extrajudicial killings and attacks on villages suspected of harboring insurgents. The reliance on VDPs has also exacerbated ethnic tensions within Burkina Faso. The VDPs are often drawn from specific ethnic groups, leading to accusations of these groups being used to target others. This has fueled a cycle of violence and reprisals, further destabilizing the region and displacing countless civilians. The situation is further complicated by reports of Russian involvement in training and equipping some VDP units. This has raised concerns about the potential for these groups to become proxies in a larger geopolitical struggle, with devastating consequences for the civilian population. Traoré's counterinsurgency strategy, while presented as a necessary measure to combat terrorism, has thus far yielded mixed results at best, and at worst, has further fueled the cycle of violence and instability that has gripped Burkina Faso. Ibrahim Traoré has cultivated a carefully crafted public image that draws inspiration from Thomas Sankara, a revered figure in Burkina Faso's history often referred to as Africa's Che Guevara. Like Sankara, Traoré presents himself as a man of the people, a humble leader dedicated to serving the nation and its interests. He frequently appears in public wearing military fatigues, eschewing the trappings of power, and emphasizing his connection to the armed forces and his role as a defender of the nation. This image is amplified and disseminated through various media channels, both traditional and online. State-controlled media outlets portray Traoré in a positive light, highlighting his achievements and downplaying any setbacks. Social media platforms are also flooded with pro-Traoré content, often praising his leadership and denouncing his critics. However, concerns have been raised about the veracity of some of this online content. Reports have emerged of the use of artificial intelligence to generate pro-Traoré propaganda, including deepfake videos and fabricated news stories. This disinformation campaign, while difficult to attribute directly to Traoré's government, aims to bolster his image, discredit his opponents, and shape public opinion in his favor. The use of such tactics raises serious questions about the transparency and accountability of Traoré's regime. It also highlights the growing threat of disinformation in the digital age and its potential to undermine democracy and sow discord within societies. While Traoré's carefully cultivated image may resonate with some, the means by which it is being constructed and propagated raise red flags about the nature of his rule and his commitment to democratic values.